Some embroiderers may have had an experience where they have tried to embroider a leather that was simply too hard to be embroidered. Those types of leathers have typically been tanned using a method called oak tanning, vegetable tanning, or bark tanning, which creates a type of leather that holds its shape very well but isn't particularly well suited for embroidery. The type of leather we're more concerned with as embroiderers is a type called chrome tanned leather. And it's tanned using a method that employs chromium salts, which make the leather more soft and pliable and able to be embroidered more easily. The weight or thickness of the leather is also a factor in embroiderability. Generally speaking, we want to stick to embroidering leathers that are no more than about the thickness of 2 dimes stacked together. And that will generally be a good weight that you can effectively embroider. The correct needle for leather embroidery is a controversial subject. Many people will tell you to use a leather needle when embroidering on leather. Leather needles have a cutting point on the edges, which is intended to slice through the leather to help make a very straight seam when stitching apparel. However, it has a diamond-shaped footprint or hole, and that makes too large a hole for embroidering on leather. In addition to that, the cutting edges of the needle can slice through the embroidery stitches that you've already applied on your leather. So if you're doing a large fill area and putting lettering on top, those sharp cutting edges of a wedge or chisel point needle, which is the name for leather needles, can slice through your previously applied embroidery stitches. So for that reason, I don't believe that those types of needles are suited to embroidery. There's even a so-called narrow wedge needle that makes a smaller hole. However, because of its cutting point, I believe it is destructive to the leather and to the previously applied embroidery. So let's talk about what would be a better choice. On very thin, delicate leathers, try using a sharp needle because it simply makes the smallest hole. If you're seeing lifting of the leather being picked back up by the needle on the needle's upstroke, then that means that the leather is closing up around the needle and it's being picked up. And that results in flagging of the material. Flagging is that up and down motion of the fabric, or in this case, leather. So to resolve that problem, you simply would move up using the same blade size initially. The blade size is the number designation. For example, a size 1175, a size 1280. So if you were using an 1175, stick with an 1175, but go to a light ballpoint. That will make a slightly larger hole, allowing the needle and the thread to escape without lifting the leather. If that still is exhibiting lifting of the leather, move up to a size 1280 light ballpoint and proceed in this manner. The largest needle size that you would employ would be a size 1490. Generally speaking, you're going to get great results on typical garment leather using a size 1175 light ballpoint or a size 8012 light ballpoint needle. When I hoop leather, I like to insert the bottom first and then the top. So I would insert the bottom like this and then gently ease in the top. Remember, when you're applying a hoop to leather, it's much like you're slipping on a leather glove. Just slip the hoop in. Never force a hoop onto leather. And if you hoop it gently, like this, and then gently recess the hoop onto the leather, You don't have to worry about damaging the leather, and when you remove it, as soon as the embroidery is complete, the leather will very quickly relax, and you won't have to worry about any lasting hoop impressions. We might choose to use a taller hoop, such as the double high wooden hoop, and it's so called the double high wooden hoop because the walls, if you notice, are about double the height of a standard plastic type of hoop. This gives more bite onto the surface area of the leather or whatever fabric you're embroidering on. But with a nice lightweight jacket like this one is, you could apply your regular plastic hoop right through the lining, and the lining serves as a bit of a stabilizer for the jacket. So we're just going to slip it on, and we need to tighten it a bit because we do want to have a firm grip on the leather so that it doesn't pop out during the course of embroidery. Recess it, as we said before, for a nice hold. Now, always check the reverse side because the lining needs to be flat and smooth with no pleats. Next, we would apply a piece of tearaway. The main purpose of this tearaway is to add some crispness so that your leather doesn't pull in during the course of embroidery. Aesthetically, it would be great to choose a black tearaway to use on the inside of a dark leather jacket.